And if that wasn't weird enough, just 8 minutes later, after calling the contents of the letter interesting, this happened.
I haven't seen the letter yet. I purposely didn't open the letter. I haven't opened it. I didn't open it in front of the director. I said, would you want me to open it? He said, you can read it later. I may be in for a big surprise, folks.
Yeah, you might, though. Because you just agreed to a summit without reading the contents of the letter that supposedly convinced you to do it. So, worst case scenario, it's a declaration of war. Best case scenario, it says, Donald, it's me, I have run away to North Korea and I'm never coming back. Melania, brackets, your third wife.
And look, I don't want to give you the impression that it was only Trump in the White House attacking cornerstones of America this week, because it was also Stephen Miller, policy advisor and vitamin D deficient minion. And, look, yes, you might well think that's unfair. Anyone can find a photo of someone looking a bit like a minion. But with Miller, it is genuinely hard to find a photo of him not looking like a minion. I'll show you. Frowny minion. Smoochy minion. Smiley minion. Look, they're both happy because they're planning something. The problem is that during the campaign, Trump promised his base not only that he would end DACA, but that he would deport its recipients. Although, beyond that, he didn't really seem to have much in the way of a concrete plan.
They have to go.
What if they have no place to go?
We will work with them. They have to go. Chuck, we either have a country or we don't have a country. We will do it, and we will expedite it so people can come back in.
It's still not clear.
Chuck, it'll work out so well. You will be so happy. In 4 years, you're going to be interviewing me, and you're going to say, what a great job you've done, President Trump.
But that is not a plan. Saying they have to go, but then they can maybe come back in, and ending sounding like he's trying to hypnotise Chuck Todd. It will work out so well. You'll be so happy. In 4 years, you're going to say, what a great job you've done, President Trump. Now, when I snap my fingers, you're going to wake up and wet your pants. Boom. And as the military soon informed the president, it doesn't take its marching orders from fucking Twitter.
General Joseph Dunford said, quote, there will be no modification to the current policy until the order goes through the proper channels.
Exactly. The military needs instructions delivered through the proper chain of command. You cannot change policy over the same channels that Justin Bieber once used to tweet, random shout out to all my sexy ladies, ha ha. And Novartis wasn't the only company who put a stupid amount of faith in Cohen's non-existent expertise.
A new report says that on the very first business day of the Trump administration, the president's personal attorney, Michael Cohen, signed a contract with AT&T to receive $600,000 to consult on long-term planning.
It's true. On the first business day of Trump's presidency, Cohen signed a deal with AT&T, who are currently trying to take over our parent company, Time Warner. But they said they only paid him to better understand the president's thinking, which is just ridiculous. Because if you want to understand this president's thinking, simply have a donkey kick you in the head 5 times and then watch Fox News for 72 hours straight. That'll give you a pretty good idea about what's going on in his mind. And the truth is, Pence is not and has never been a friend of the gay community. Over the years, he's fought anti-discrimination laws that would have protected them. He's also opposed allowing gays to serve in the military, openly or otherwise, with his campaign's website saying homosexuality is incompatible with military service. And he once defended the sanctity of marriage in another surprisingly passionate speech.
Marriage was ordained by God, instituted in the law, is the glue of the American family and the safest harbor to raise children, and it must be defended against the onslaught of the left in the Congress, in the courts, and if need be, in the Constitution of the United States of America.
Holy shit! If I may quote one of America's greatest philosophers...
Jesus, I say that.
She's right. She's absolutely right. You didn't say it. Can even afford to run TV commercials like this.
Cliffside Malibu has been helping people just like you for over 12 years. We accept most insurance. Our experienced, compassionate staff will help you get your life back. Call the number or go to the site below now. Don't wait, because your tomorrow may never come.
Wow! That is a hard turn there. That's like Frosted Flakes ending a commercial with Tony the Tiger getting shot by poachers. Now, Now, in recent years, as for the money, we didn't give it to them. All of it was theirs to begin with. It was just frozen under sanctions that we've now lifted. Or, in the case of that plane load of cash, it was money that they paid us for military equipment in 1979 that we never delivered. So he's wrong. He's just wrong. He just said a string of things that were factually inaccurate. And you all know what this means. Oh, yes. We got it. We got it. We shot him. Yes. Wait. Stop. We didn't get him. Stop. I just got a news alert. He's still the president. He's still the president. We didn't get him. I'm sorry. It turns out nothing matters. Nothing matters anymore. I'm sorry. And it got even worse, as Lester Holt asked Trump about his claim that Comey had exonerated him 3 times.
We said it once at dinner, and then he said it twice during phone calls.
Did you call him?
In one case I called him, in one case he called me.
And did you ask, am I under investigation?
I actually asked him, yes. I said, if it's possible, would you let me know, am I under investigation? He said, you are not under investigation.
I call bullshit. I call turbo bullshit on that. There is no way those conversations went down in that manner. Trump has somehow managed to be both a terrible and an amazing liar, and I don't know how that's physically possible. And that is part of a pattern of suspicious responses you can trace back to last summer when Paul Manafort, Trump's then campaign manager, did this.
So to be clear, Mr. Trump has no financial relationships with any Russian oligarchs.
That's what he said. That's what I said. That's obviously what our position is.
Holy shit! That was so unconvincing, it probably set off an unplugged polygraph machine just sitting in a closet somewhere. Oh, I don't know what happened, Sarge. I went in to get some paper clips and the needle was just going crazy. But meanwhile, Mnuchin is still facing questions over whether he and his wife arranged that trip to Kentucky because it happened to be the perfect spot from which to view the solar eclipse. And last week, Mnuchin fiercely denied that and casually insulted the entire state of Kentucky in the process.
You know, people in Kentucky took this stuff very seriously. Being a New Yorker in California is like the eclipse. So we got there as like, really, I don't have any interest in watching the eclipse.
What are you talking about? It's a fucking eclipse, not a Broadway show. I live in Manhattan, so I see eclipses all the time. I'll leave work a little early, grab a little pre-eclipse dinner at Joe Allen, and then go. I don't have time to go to Kentucky to see some touring company eclipse. Now, all in all, Comey's testimony appears pretty damaging for the White House, and in the immediate aftermath, even Fox News was struggling to spin any positives.
Politically, I thought it was very damaging to the president.
I am concerned after hearing Jim Comey today. It was far stronger, more credible, and more damning than the statement we got from Jim Comey yesterday.
I think this sort of brings home the question of the president's credibility, which is always a big loss.
Wow. That is not good. Although, at this point, saying something damaged Trump's credibility is kind of like saying that graffiti is a real eyesore on that pile of dead pigeons. The point is, lately, more and more normal people, or non-Dans, have been getting into cryptocurrencies, partly because they may have seen stories like this.
Dylan Fine is living the dream.
I had that Mitsubishi Eclipse. My windows didn't work. My AC didn't work, right? I had to open my doors just to get food at the drive-thru.
Everything changed when he met a friend who introduced him to Bitcoin.
I turned $350 into $12,000.
He became a millionaire at 24, all by investing in Bitcoin.
I can literally put in a trade, wait a few hours, let the exchange rate fluctuate, and I'm actually able to profit from the world's largest financial market in the world.
Yes. That man is apparently a millionaire now, which is presumably why he's being interviewed on the most expensive outdoor swamp log in South Florida. In fact, recently, another one of their promos was passed around online, and you may recognise one of the faces in it.
Certain people shouldn't have guns.
Now, don't laugh, he's absolutely right. And if NRA members are annoyed with what I'm saying right now, they should do the exact same thing and smash their expensive televisions with large sledgehammers. Are you listening, NRA members? Destroy your own property. It's a really good idea, and it's honestly the only way we'll learn. Now, NRA TV produces a lot of videos like those that are essentially just trolling for your attention, but their content goes much, much deeper than that, as you will see if you go to their website or if you watch it on streaming devices like the great and powerful Roku. They said it again, Harry! They said our name! It's happening! It's finally happening! So if Italy is seriously considering taking Berlusconi back, it is worth the rest of us brushing up on him, because he is one of history's most ludicrous humans. His ego is legendary. He once claimed, "My greatness is without question, my human substance, my history, other people dream to have." And in the years that Berlusconi was in power, he built a quasi-cult of personality around himself, perhaps best exemplified by this campaign song from 2008.
C'è un grande sogno che vive in noi, siamo la gente della libertà, Presidente siamo con te, meno male che Silvio c'è.
That has to literally be Silvio Berlusconi's fantasy. A world where he's apparently the only man left on Earth and every woman sings about him whilst fondling produce. But with Trump, we are familiar enough with his speech patterns that you get the basic gist of what he's trying to say. The real damage isn't in how he says things, but from three key techniques that he uses to insulate himself from criticism and consequence. And if we are not extremely careful, all three could have serious impacts that far outlast his presidency. And let's start with the first one. Delegitimizing the media. Now, Trump has been attacking the press since he declared his candidacy, and in a broader sense, he's been waging war on the very concept of truth ever since he first turned to his mom and said, "Dada," and she said, "No, I'm Mama," and he said, "Fake news," and shit his pants. So, while Manafort may have been gone before the election, Gates, his partner, who prosecutors say had 55 bank accounts, he helped run the inaugural committee and has been a frequent visitor to the White House. So again, the question here is, did Trump know all of this and not care? Or did he know none of it because he's incompetent? In other words, is Trump smart enough to be evil? And before you answer that, consider the genuinely surprising news from Monday, the guilty plea from George Papadopoulos, the former Trump campaign staffer and real cool dude, who has now admitted to lying to the FBI. He could be a real problem here, because we now know not only did Papadopoulos have contact with the Russians during the campaign, who apparently told him through... And speaking of poetic, listen to Roy Moore's feelings on homosexuality, because as bad as you assume they are, they're actually worse. He favours criminalising sodomy, and if you ask him about that, things get weird fast.
Sodomy is against the law of nature. Okay, let's take another one. Is there a right in the Constitution for bestiality?
Yeah, look, you're asking, I don't
well,
want the
there is no right in the Constitution to commit bestiality. There's nothing that says a man can have sex with a donkey, or a woman can have sex with a donkey, right? It's not in there.
OK, so say what you will about Roy Moore. He is a man who believes that a woman can fuck a donkey every bit as well as a man, and that is something. Hashtag tap that ass, hashtag feminism. Michael Flynn was fired after it emerged he discussed US sanctions against Russia with Russian officials during the transition, despite denying that to the press, to the FBI, and to Vice President Mike Pence. Flynn was so flawed, Team Trump was repeatedly warned about his baggage by both then-acting AG Sally Yates and President Obama, and even, as reported this week, General Flynn himself. But Trump kept standing by him anyway, which kind of makes sense in a way, because literally every decision in the Trump administration is the worst possible one. Paper or plastic? Whichever one kills the most birds. Soup or salad? I'm going to go with the N-word. Favourite Beatle? It's got to be Yoko. The real shock, though, was how quickly all this went down. Changes were still being made to the bill this week, and the CBO, which estimates the cost and impacts of proposed laws, hadn't even had time to score the final version. And multiple members of Congress admitted they hadn't even read the whole thing.
Did you read this entire bill?
Yeah. I wouldn't say every, yes, I turned through every page. As to whether or not I got through some of the details in some of the pages, no. But yes, I attempted to read the entire bill.
Wait, you turned through every page? That's not how you read a bill, that's how you check a bill for spiders. Well, I can't say whether this bill will cause millions to lose insurance, but it does have the Mark Sanford no spiders guarantee. But sadly, it was a breakup letter to an actual person named Donald Tusk who seemed understandably devastated.
There is no reason to pretend that this is a happy day, neither in Brussels nor in London. And what can I add to this? We already miss you. Thank you and goodbye.
Oh, come on, Tuski, don't be sad. If it helps, you will get over Britain. And if you do ever find yourself missing it, here's what works for me. Just stare at this picture of an angry old woman in a racist T-shirt eating beads on toast in the rain, because that is what you are actually leaving behind. And look, while the definition of the ban is ridiculous, the impacts of it are very real, particularly for refugees, since the administration has decided that being assisted by a refugee resettlement agency does not constitute a bona fide relationship, which means thousands of desperate people who've gone through exhaustive vetting and have been approved to come here have now been left in the lurch, which is absolutely shameful. And yet, for some, it's actually no big deal. An attitude best exemplified by human lacrosse stick Tucker Carlson, who asked, #Tucker, why does America benefit from having tons of people from failing countries come here? A question that made the Statue of Liberty give up and drown herself in the Hudson River. The point is, the power this referendum gives Erdogan is sweeping.
Erdogan now has broad, unchecked powers and the authority to potentially remain in office until 2029.
It's true, the referendum gives Erdogan the power to do pretty much everything short of building a statue of himself with an erection that citizens will be forced to give pretend handjobs to. But to be honest, it might actually have given him the power to do that as well. And it turns out, Tribble is not the only case where FBI experts overstated their confidence in their results.
The Innocence Project and the National Association of Criminal Defense Lawyers found from the 1970s through 1999, in 268 cases where FBI hair analysis led to a conviction, 257, or 96% of them, had errors in analysis.
Oh, it gets worse because 9 of those defendants had already been executed, which is horrifying. And you would expect FBI hair analysis to have a higher rate of accuracy than your friend's hair analysis of you can totally pull off bangs, because you can't, you absolutely can't. Believe me, I couldn't. Just learn from my mistakes, kids. Save yourselves. It's too late for me. And look, and it is frankly telling that even Fox News anchor Brett Baer didn't stand behind the story.
We love the judge. We love him here at Fox, but the Fox News division was never able to back up those claims.
That is like how you talk about a racist grandparent. We love Nana, we love her very much, but we cannot stand behind the things she says, nor would the rest of us use those specific words. Also, she has been watching The Wire. She's been watching The Wire. If Stringer Bell can say it, why can't she? That's her point. And now to the final stop on our tour de scandal, Israel. The thing that you bring up when all your friends are the same political party, but you still want to have an argument. This week brought a new scandal for Israel's leader.
Israeli police are recommending that Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu be indicted on 2 corruption cases. They include claims that Netanyahu accepted money from a Hollywood producer and that he offered preferential treatment to a newspaper publisher in exchange for positive coverage.
Oh, that is just the beginning. They also charge that he accepted lavish gifts from wealthy friends, including nearly $300,000 worth of cigars and champagne. And while he denies these charges, Netanyahu and his wife do have famously extravagant tastes. She has been dubbed Israel's Marie Antoinette, which is both a harsh criticism and an objectively chic bat mitzvah theme. Look, don't take that from me. Don't take that just from me. White nationalists seemed pretty clear about the message that Trump had sent to them with his response.
This is from an infamous neo-Nazi website. Quote, Trump comments were good. He said he loves us all. Also refused to answer a question about white nationalists supporting him. No condemnation at all. When asked to condemn, he just walked out of the room. Really, really good. God bless him.
To which God immediately released a statement saying, I unequivocally condemn the Nazis who invoked my name. Their beliefs and actions in no way reflect the glory of my creation. I mean, what kind of fucking idiot would not immediately distance himself from them? Others tried to delicately thread the needle, condemning the Nazis without explicitly mentioning the president. Take Paul Ryan, a man whose spine ran away from home 10 years ago and is now living on a spine commune in northern Vermont. He tweeted that white supremacy is repulsive, but did not mention Trump. And come on, you can mention him. He is not Voldemort. He's just a terrifying entity who viciously attacks his enemies and judges people based on their birthright. You know what? I do hear it now. I hear it now. I take that back. And I am not saying there are right answers here. I'm saying there needs to be a tangible strategy acknowledging how difficult taking on Assad actually is. Because right now, we have a president who feeds off praise, and he just got a lot of it for bombing someone. And that should make everyone very, very worried. Or, to put this in terms that Brian Williams can understand, there is a scene in the movie American Pie where the character Jim, played by Jason Biggs, has sex with a pie because he wants to feel like a big, strong, grown-up man. Well, the concern is that if we blindly let him continue down this path, Donald Trump could become that horny teenager, and the whole world could become that pie. And that's just the beginning. He also U-turned on calling China a currency manipulator, replacing Fed Chair Janet Yellen, and his criticisms of the Export-Import Bank. And you may be happy with those reversals, but if you are a Trump supporter, you might be rightly pissed off. This is not what you thought you bought. It's like getting tickets for the Vagina Monologues, but on the night you went, it starred Brian Dennehy, who's great. Look, don't get me wrong, but it's not really what you signed up for. But the thing is, this story ate up a lot of media time this week, but the allegations were slightly less alarming than early coverage suggested. Take another one of the big claims.
A program called Weeping Angel, which can remotely turn a Samsung TV anywhere in the world into a secret listening device.
One CIA hacking operation called Weeping Angel.
Weeping Angel.
If you've got a Samsung TV, you think you're watching TV. Oh, honey, that thing is watching you.
Okay, first, she should deliver all of the news. 19 dead in a blazing apartment fire, all of them children, girlfriend. But second, Weeping Angel sounds less like a spy program and more like a tactic your mom uses to keep you from masturbating. Look at the Weeping Angel, David. You did that, you made her cry. Try to figure out why ISIS might be marching with the gay community through London. Which did seem surprising. Now, if this deal is successful, we will have come a long way from earlier this week when it seemed tensions between John Kerry and Iran negotiator Mohammad Javad Zarif might sink the whole thing.
Kerry and Zarif were yelling at each other so loudly that they could be heard outside of the room.
Now, that sounds bad. Yes, that sounds bad. Although it is actually preferable to hearing the sound of the two of them making up. Ugh. Ugh. Just low moans and the sound of what I hope is someone scooping out a cantaloupe. In his address, the president wanted to make it clear, just because he was making a deal with Iran did not mean he fully trusted them.
This deal is not built on trust. It is built on verification. Inspectors will have 24/7 access to Iran's key nuclear facilities.
And that's a reasonable request. After all, Iran developed nuclear facilities in secret and then, when they were discovered, claimed they were for civilian purposes, which is a bit like having your girlfriend discover your real doll and saying, wait, what? I'm getting my lifeguard certification and they require that your CPR dummy have a medically accurate anus and vagina. I'm allowed this. And Hasselhoff ejaculated a cha-cha-cha. But let's not kid ourselves here. This debate was only ever going to be about one person, and from the very first question, he was the focus of everyone's attention.
Is there anyone on stage, and can I see hands, who is unwilling tonight to pledge your support to the eventual nominee of the Republican Party and pledge to not run an independent campaign against that person? Mr. Trump.
Why is that audience acting surprised? That couldn't have been more of a setup for Trump if the prompt had been, raise your hand if your daddy left you millions of dollars instead of hugging you. But it wasn't just symbolic flag-raising. The reopening of the embassy also gave Secretary of State John Kerry a chance to dust off his freshman year Que Tal textbook.
I say on behalf of my country
Los Estados Unidos acogen con beneplácito este nuevo comienzo de su relación con el pueblo, el gobierno de Cuba.
No bueno. You sound like a Rosetta Stone, and not the software. You sound like an actual rock trying to speak Spanish. Say it. Now, both sides have exchanged fire across the DMZ, and the South has been employing an unusual weapon.
South Korean loudspeakers blaring criticism of North Korean leader Kim Jong-un's regime. The North has told the South to turn it down or face more military action.
Look, North Korea, if your neighbour is blasting horrible noise at all hours of the day, you do not retaliate with war. You wait until the next morning and you leave a passive-aggressive note. There is an etiquette for how we handle this stuff. Now, the speakers have been blasting not just news about Kim Jong-un, but also, and this is true, South Korean pop music. People. Now, look, so far, this is just a run-of-the-mill sex scandal. But this story starts to get amazing when you learn how Representative Corser attempted to throw people off the scent.
State Rep Ted Corser admitted to circulating an anonymous email claiming he had been caught with a male prostitute. He did this apparently in order to muddy the water in case his affair with a fellow state rep was exposed.
It's true. He sent an anonymous email accusing himself of a fake liaison with a male prostitute, so no one would believe the real liaisons he was having with his own colleague. That is the worst plan I've ever heard, and I'm including trickle-down economics, the pull-out method, and the plot of The Parent Trap. Now, it gets better. Please, this was a truly historic trip for the Pope, not least because he was directly responsible for a miracle. Just watch how his arrival was reported on MSNBC.
Welcome to Destiny of Thrones. Please confirm if you want to start tutorial.
You'll be happy to
Welcome to Destiny of Thrones tutorial. First, let's start with the basic control. Please select Game Control Mode. You can move the hero with the virtual joystick. Well done. Let's move forward. Kill enemies that appear on the front line. Tap button to switch target. Tap button to attack target. Great, let's move forward. Now, try to kill the enemies using your skills. Press plus button. To use the skills, tap and drag the skill to the enemy or target area and release it. By killing more enemies, you are able to learn more skills and enhance the hero's level. There are more enemies approaching. Try to use your skills to kill them. Well done. Now head back to the base to regenerate. Tap on warp button. Your hero will teleport back to base after a few seconds. You have earned gold by killing the enemies and it's time to gear up. Recommended if all set. Let's go crush the enemy. Destroy enemy's final tower for victory. It is recommended to let the legions attack the tower first. Congratulations! You have completed the tutorial. Hey, wide along. You can now battle with other players, but we would recommend you to complete the advanced tutorial to improve your controlling skills. Please select your hero.